And then this one's a big one for me. Oh boy. And that is, so in my previous video about the history of Capcom versus SNK's collaboration, I said if I'm thinking Capcom would do a Capcom versus SNK collection, it would include Capcom versus SNK, Capcom versus SNK Pro, the sequel, Fighting Evolution, and a prototype of the Fighting All-Star. Well, I was close to some extent because Capcom announced Capcom Fighting Collection 2. So, yeah. So, my theory about a collection were a bit way off to some extent. I mean, 2 of the games are going to be in this collection. So, it is what it is. So, anyway, yeah. So, of course, you saw that list. My theory was the Capcom vs. SNK collection with 4 games at least. But nope, apparently 3 out of the 4 is going to be in a new collection. Yes, Capcom did just announce Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Hello guys, NautoAis here, and this will be a follow-up on my thoughts on the Indie Direct / Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. And one of the games that I was shocked that they actually do this, but a little bit of concerning, but I'll talk about that later. And that is Capcom Fighting Collection 2. And I like the logo because if you notice the number 2, it's actually the same logo design from Capcom vs. SNK 2. So anyway, yeah, so it was revealed on the Nintendo Direct. It will be on the PlayStation 4, Switch, and Steam. So they reveal what the game's gonna be, what's included. So of course, Capcom vs. SNK Pro, Capcom vs. SNK 2, Capcom Fighting Evolution. Yes, everybody loves that game. I know I'm joking. Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper, and I'll explain that. A lot of people already did, but I'm going to give my extended thoughts about it. Power Stone 1 and 2. A lot of people wanted that. Finally, Project Justice, which is Rival School 2. And Plasma Sword, which is Star Gladiator 2. So if you notice in this collection mostly are, you might say Dreamcast game, which you're right, they are Dreamcast game. Minus Capcom Fighting Evolution, unless it did also come in Japan. Because like I said, the Dreamcast died a bit early than in Japan, from what I heard. So like I said, Capcom vs. SNK 2 was actually in Dreamcast in Japan. Heck, I even did a showcase just showing it. I know. Most of it are from the Dreamcast. And I think most of these games are also run on a Naomi engine. Not all of them, but most of them. So that's maybe the reason. I know it's kind of weird, but don't think of it too much. Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Is it a big deal that this game was announced? To some extent, again, yes. Particularly of the franchise, but the Capcom vs. SNK series. So, of course, ever since SNK vs. Capcom Match of the Millennium from the Neo Geo Pocket came out for Steam and Switch, I wish it's also going to be the PS4, but it is what it is. We'll see if they're willing to do it in the long run. A lot of people say, buy this game and maybe their engagement, and it did. EVO 2020, there was a poster. People thought it was just a nothing burger, but it was actually something. And then EVO 2024, SNK vs. Capcom Chaos did a shadow drop. I bought it, full price, $20, giving again SNK a bone. Hopefully that means more collaboration with Capcom. And now with Capcom Fighting Collection 2, you got Capcom vs. SNK Pro and Capcom vs. SNK 2. Again, most people are willing to pay Capcom vs. SNK 2 by itself. Yes, if you have a PS3, you can actually get it as a PS2 to a PS3 emulator. I have it. At one point, it was even selling under $5. There you go. But now, if you only have either a Switch, PlayStation console 4 or 5, or Steam, you don't have a PlayStation 3, here's your chance, especially with Capcom vs. SNK 2, because it is a big deal. And if you follow the FGC scene, you follow Twitch, then you know there's a lot of people play this game even in tournament places. It is what it is. The another question now, with Capcom Fighting Collection 2, should people once again do the quote-unquote Capcom test? And the answer for that one, most people probably not going to like it. The hype franchise test, they talked about it before, If you want more of the franchise for the modern times, a new version for a lot of this game, you gotta buy this collection. And if you can, buy it at full price at launch. They get engagement, they see, oh, people do want them, then they will consider. Because yes, like I said, when Ono was trying to champion Darkstalker Resurrection, failed to a point that the Capcom suit said, yeah, well, nobody wants the game, no, there's no demand, we're done. And even Ono admitted it. They said that, yeah, because not a lot of people bought Darkstalker Resurrection. It is what it is. Yeah, it sucks, but again, that's the engagement. So did it really affect when people bought Capcom Fighting Collection? To some extent, yeah, because now you have the Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection, which is going to come out in September and physically November, and I'll talk about that more. Now Capcom Fighting Collection 2 in 2025. There are some engagement, there are some reaction, to a point that even the director and the producer of Street Fighter said, yes, it seems now Capcom wants to release a lot of this classic on modern console because they're seeing the engagement. People bought the Capcom Fighting Collection. There was, I think it was some good sale. Granted, there was some pre-order bonus and a code for Capcom Arcade Stadium 2nd to get 3 Wonders for free, but still, it did help. Because of that, they did Marvel vs. Capcom Collection. And then after that, now they're doing a sequel, Capcom Fighting Collection 2. So as for the release date, my guess is that a lot of people kind of said that at the earliest, it's probably going to be March of 2025, prior to the release of Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. If you don't know, that game's going to come out in April 24th, 2025. Kind of makes sense, so there you go. That's why if you notice a lot of the promo art now, it's Ryu and Terry. Come on, it kind of makes sense because Terry was first before Kyo. It was just kind of weird at the time because I think because King of Fighter was more popular than Fatal Fury in 2000. That's why it was Ryu and Kyo. It's basically Street Fighter versus King of Fighters. And of course, the main character versus the main character. But a lot of people did say that Terry would make more sense. I agree. That's why with SNK vs. Capcom Chaos, it was Terry and Ryu. And then now on Capcom vs. SNK 2, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, once again, it's Terry and Ryu. Because it makes more sense. Street Fighter and Fatal Fury. Just saying there. Whether you like or not, Terry Bogard is Mr. SNK. There's a reason why he was in Smash Bros. Ultimate rather than Kyo. Because a lot of people know about Terry Kyo. I think Kyo was well popular only in Japan, but worldwide, it's Terry. Just throwing it out there. So, by buying Capcom Fighting Collection 2, will it have a higher chance now of making a new series, whatever? Power Stone, Project Justice, Plasma Sword, Street Fighter Alpha, maybe not. Or especially Capcom versus SNK. The biggest one is Capcom versus SNK. That's the biggest one. Maybe finally they'll do a third sequel. There you go. As for Power Stone, yes, believe it or not, because there have been a lot of demands ever since the release of Power Stone Collection on the PSP. A lot of fans did want Power Stone on modern console. They've been practically begging Capcom, but at the time it wasn't deaf's ear. Same goes with Project Justice, Rival School. I think not so much with Star Gladiator, but people did want the 3D fighting games. But at the time, different executive, they were just looking at it. And also, they're trying to prevent what happened with Capcom in 2012 to 2014, which the gist of it, for people who don't know, is that when they were releasing a lot of this fighting game, mind you, they are PSN, Xbox Arcade. So they were sort of that downloadable game, indie game, whatever you call it, smaller games. Capcom got too greedy to some extent because of the success of Street Fighter 4. So they were releasing a lot of these downloadable Capcom fighting games, like 3 to 4 months each other. Not all people can get them. Oh, should I get this and that? They were releasing Marvel vs. Capcom Origin, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Darkstalker Resurrection, JoJo Bizarre Adventure for Capcom. And there was a lot of it, to a point that a lot of the fighting fans in the FGC can't get all of them, because the problem also was at the time was the mentality of an indie game, downloadable game, are $10. And you're saying, wow, this is more than $10. This is bullshit. Even former Capcom market jerk Christian Van admitted it that, yeah, well, we need it to be $15 or we're not going to get our returns. That's the reason. And they didn't, because according to Sven, a lot of this game, they didn't sell. They did not sell. And when they were getting their sale, yeah, it was on sales. So again, when you put a game on sale, you're not going to get a lot of ROI. That's the thing. So Capcom was trying to learn from that. Say, well, we're not going to do a lot of fighting games. So, like I said, chances are at the earliest, Capcom Fighting Collection 2 probably going to be released at March prior to Fatal Fury City of the World. But it could be also 6 months. It's going to be probably next summer, 2025. Because again, you just have the announcement release date for Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. And you need to give that game first breathing room. Let people get hype about it. Let them play for 6 months at least. And then after that, okay, we're going to move on to Capcom Fighting Collection 2. So that's why it's a big deal. That's why, once again, you got to understand with Max, every time he see a revive of the Capcom Fighting game, he goes like a kid, goo goo gaga, because like I said with the Marvel vs. Capcom Collection, Capcom Fighting games for him, it's not just he's a fan. Yes, he is a fan of Capcom Fighting games, super fan. Also, he's a fan of Dreamcast. The guy is a shield for the Sega Dreamcast. He admitted that. And that a lot of those games, what made what Max is. It started his career, so it's not just, I'm a fan of this game. It started his career to a point that he got a Guinness Book of Record. A lot of company do acknowledge Max as basically influencer for the FGC. It is what it is. So there you go. So yes, it is a big deal for Capcom Fighting Collection 2. Yeah, you might want to consider do the Capcom test. And yeah, this game is a big deal, especially if you want a new Capcom versus SNK game. So about the game itself, the game they chose. So like I said, all of them are Dreamcast games. Kind of makes sense. They weren't a Dreamcast except for Capcom Fighting Evolution, unless in Japan. I'm only looking in the perspective of the international market. Why Pro? Why not the first one? Because, like I said, it's just a quality of life game than the first one. A lot of update. Not only do you have two characters that's going to be in the game, Joe and Dan. I think from the get-go, a lot of the hidden characters are already out. They introduced the ratio system that was introduced in Capcom versus SNK 2 because, yes, granted, the first game did not. It was kind of stupid in my opinion. The ratio system, I think, also was stupid, but from what I understand, it was to balance the game out because not every game are S tier, if you know what I mean. At the time, there's no such thing as balances. From what I understand, also Pro, they did balance the game. So it's just a more quality of life than the first one. Yeah, the downside to some extent is that Capcom vs. SNK Pro does not have an integration with the Neo Geo Pocket, so you don't even need that. That was only the first one. It was just a gimmicky to promote both games. That's why. So that's why my guess of why Pro. Of course, Capcom vs. SNK 2. Not only it's based on the arcade, they're also going to put in the features from the Xbox and GameCube. You want to know about that? The internet probably going to explain it to you. Capcom Fighting Evolution, the black sheep of this crossover. It was basically when the deal was done. It has a connection with Capcom Fighting All-Star, which the game failed. And like I said, if you have a chance, watch Mike McMuscle's video. He can explain it. So, Capcom Fighting All-Star, they tried it. It failed. They did a test. There's actually sort of an alpha build. Even the director of Street Fighter 6 showed it. Nobody really liked it, so they just scrapped it. So what happened went from that, they said, well, we got to do something with this, the story or whatever. So instead, they did some cut and paste and just said, let's just do like a basic formula for the Capcom vs. SNK, make it more simplified, and you got Fighting Evolution, which is, like I said, the grooves are exclusive to certain characters. So, like I said, the group is there's Street Fighter 2 characters, which is, it plays like Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter Alpha characters plays like if you play Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 3, Red Earth, and Darkstalker. So they have those features, whatever, in their game. You don't change groove here. And then the tag system, really pointless. It's just, again, gimmicky. And the funny part about Capcom Fighting Evolution is it's really all about Udon Comics, believe it or not. Yes, it is Udon Comics, because if you finish the game, all it does is you finish a particular character, they're just going to showcase an Udon comic. So it is just a promotion for Udon Entertainment Comics. That's also the reason why. Had no in-depth story. They did put one new character, which is Ingrid. That's why a lot of people don't like her, because she's associated with that game. Yeah, the game is not really that fun, even I can tell you that. It is just a piss-poor version of Capcom vs. SNK 2. It wasn't even made out of obligation. It was just, well, we got this asset. We don't want to waste the asset from Capcom All-Star. Let's just use it. Let's just make it 2D. Let's do like a spiritual sequel to Capcom vs. SNK 2. And you got Fighting Evolution. And you know what happened. The game is slow. The tag system's really pointless. The mechanics are just like, eh. And then, like I said, the ending is, it doesn't really make sense. It's promoting Udon Comics. That's why. Street Fighter Alpha 3 Upper is a improved, upgraded version of Street Fighter Alpha 3. And again, they did say that this is the arcade version. I think it was running in a Naomi board. I think it was also developed by Sammy Sega. I know it's kind of weird. But yes, this is the last Street Fighter Alpha 3 arcade version. Which, if you don't know, it's based on, from what I understand, the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation 1. For people who don't know, the PlayStation 1 version was actually upper. Because he had those characters, DJ, T-Hawk, and Fei Long. Then you also have Guile, Balrog, Julie, and Junie have their own story. A lot of quality of life improvement. So that's why. And of course, there's Double Upper, which is the PlayStation Portable exclusive. But yes, Upper was the last arcade version for Street Fighter Alpha 3. A lot of people said, well, this is the first time on the home console. False. Like I said, if you have the Sega Saturn or the PlayStation version, that's Upper. Yes, granted it's a PS4 version because of the power. But if you have it for the PlayStation 2, Street Fighter Alpha Anthology actually have Street Fighter 3 Alpha Upper. It's not on the marketing. It wasn't on the cover. What it is, believe it or not, yeah, there is 5 games. You got 3 Alpha games and Pocket Fighter. However, there are 2 hidden games in the game by finishing Street Fighter Alpha 2 and Street Fighter Alpha 3 respectively. So Street Fighter Alpha 2, I think Gold you unlock, and then Street Fighter Alpha 3, you unlock Upper. So that's why. So yeah, it was on the home console, but people just don't know about it because, believe it or not, Street Fighter Alpha Anthology didn't really sell well. I got it for $30. Like I said, I bought it, played it like for 5 minutes, and then I moved on. It is what it is. What can you do about it? So that's the story with Upper 3. Power Stone, enough said. The last time it was on the PlayStation Portable. Runs in 30 frames. A lot of people have been asking for it. So finally, same goes with Rival School and Plasma Blade. So in the case with Rival School, why is it the second? Probably better than the first one. That's always to see. Maybe, I know, probably a different story, but it is what it is. And then it comes with Plasma Sword. It's probably the same deal, just better. It's like, why do I want to play Street Fighter Alpha if Street Fighter Alpha 2 has more content as a casual? There you go. Of course, there is always a downside, which is censorship. Yes, so the game itself, unfortunately, does have a bit of minor censorship. I don't think it's a big deal for this one, but censorship is censorship. Yeah, so they are modifying a lot of the thing. Rouge ending in Power Stone had to be modified. I did check out what it is, like, oh, that's why. And in the case with Capcom Fighting Evolution with Dimitri, yeah, I kind of agree with what Max said. Some of them maybe just too fan service. But if you Midnight Bliss Rose, and that's the thing, Rose, the thing is, she turns into a JoJo character, believe it or not. So she turns into, spoiler, Lisa, which is Joseph Joestar's mom. And then she also turns into Enba, which is Dio's mom. That's why. And of course, if you don't know, Capcom don't have the rights for JoJo. So that's why. So Namco Bandai now have the rights. So that's why there. That's a big deal for Capcom versus SNK 2. Capcom Fighting Evolution. Like I said, you got to do the Capcom test if you want more of this. So now, moving from that one is, I want to give my thoughts a bit about Marvel vs. Capcom, especially with Marvel Superhero vs. Street Fighter. Oh my gosh. I did not think it would really happen, because the last time what happened was when they showcased the game, a lot of the report was that Norimaru will not be on Marvel vs. Capcom Collection. People knew it's a license issue because, again, Norimaru is based on a real person. It's a comedian. And his spiel is that I'm a comedian, I wear a high school outfit, and I hate Street Fighter. That I can beat all those Street Fighter. I can pummel them because I'm the greatest guy. I mean, something like that. It's a Japanese spiel thing. That's why. And what happened was, apparently, and credit to Mac, because I was watching one of his streams, I asked him, hey, does Marvel really hate the guy? And he said no. And the story behind it was, yes. The fact of the story is that Marvel saw that they didn't like Norimaru. So they said, well, this is going to ruin the reputation of Marvel, especially outside in the US. So the compromise, what happened was, okay, you can have Norimaru, but he will be a Japanese exclusive. At a time in gaming culture, industry, business, is that it's okay to make it like a region exclusive. Now, you can't do that anymore. People can get pissed. Because they almost did that with Super Smash Bros. Melee with Mart and Roy. There was a point that Nintendo of America said, can we not have Mart and Roy outside of Japan? Sakurai said no, and a lot of the reason is not just because of marketing and people don't know, it's license. They're also trying to avoid license. According to Max, that because the communication with Marvel and Capcom at the time wasn't really good, wasn't really organized to some extent, and that when Capcom had the right to use the Marvel license, they were going all out, according to Max. And Marvel themselves did not know about Norimaru until it was too late. So that's the reason why they said, oh, well, we don't want this character. And also they said what another possibility was that, well, Marvel themselves outside of Japan did not want to license the character, because even so you have to release them, you got to license that's money. And that's the reason there that they said, yeah, we don't want it. But now, 2024, somehow they managed to relicense the character, and that is actually going to go outside of Japan. That's a big one, because if you follow Marvel vs. Capcom YouTube channel, they did a showcase for Marvel vs. Street Fighter, and yeah, in the end they showed Norimaru, and yeah, he's gonna be playable. You go to the website, he's playable. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe they did the impossible again. So kudos to Capcom for that one. So also for them what they're doing, so they are on the roll. So like I said, the game window, the game gap from Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection to Capcom Fighting Collection 2 is probably going to be at least 6 months. Heck, it could even be more. My theory behind it is going to be summer. And why did Capcom announce it as soon as possible, even before the release of Marvel vs. Capcom 2? Well, there's a collection, the retro, makes sense. And they know that people are hyped because of what happened with Capcom Fighting Collection 1. They want more of this. They get the message. So that's why they're doing this. It is a cash grab, but it's a good cash grab that a lot of people will be supporting them. Tournament organizers are going to support them. That's why. So like I said, another one is a bit of a controversy to some extent is the release date. So digitally, it will be September 12th. Physically, which I bought it, physically pre-ordered it, it will be November 22nd. Well, my theory behind it, there's a lot. First of all, apparently the physical version will have a mini comic, an original story of how Capcom and Marvel got together. So, again, we'll have to wait and see what it is. And my other theory probably is physical distribution. Probably they're having a hard time to some extent looking for it, because it is a PS4 game, and it's already like, 10 years after the PS4 already was released, and you're still making games for the PS4. Kind of makes sense, since PS5 is backwards compatible on the PS4, and that not a lot of people still have PS5. I know, but I mean, it's expensive. What do you expect? The console's still expensive, and it's going to be more expensive outside of Japan, but that'll be a different story there. And that's my theory about it, is that could be that whoever they're distributing the physical, they're probably taking longer than it should be. And again, there's that comic, so they probably need more time so they can put in that comic, and then there you go. So I'm not a fan of that situation, but it's a nothing burger. Like I said, they did that with Wind Waker, believe it or not. Wind Waker HD, they did that. Metroid Prime Remastered also did that. Neptunia RPG also did that. It's also engaged to see if people want physical or digital. Like for me personally, I don't really care each side, as long as it's on sale. That's what it is. I just wish that I can buy PSN game beside the PSN store. I know Jim Ryan kind of changed that policy because, well, it capitalized on their sales on the PSN store. That's why. Just saying that. So there you go, my thoughts, a follow-up on why Capcom Fighting Collection 2 is a big deal in release in the modern times. Because like I said, then that means maybe a new game finally for some of this franchise, especially Capcom versus SNK. And credit to Capcom with the Marvel Fighting Collection, Norimaru. Finally, going to be playable officially outside of Japan in a official console. Just saying that. So there you go. With that, I'll see you guys later.